I was like, all right, we're just going live straight into it. No music this time. And Doug's like, what time do we have for music? I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, people just need a moment. And then, like, so he starts playing the music, and as soon as he does, it's like, you're on the air.
There. Episode. Cool. Let's do it.
Oh, just, yeah. Kill the music. No. God. Hi, my name is Penny. This is going to be absolute chaos. We've got a Ryan working through technology, it looks like. I'm not sure he's ready to be on the air. It's fine. Let's take him off the screen. And we're also joined by a Jared Head. Oh, yeah, we're watching him mic up at this point. We were ill-prepared to go live for this particular show. So we do want to talk about the FAA's 63 items, which if I say FAA's 63 items, Ryan will get angry at me.
I'll get angry too at you about that. So,
all right. Well, I can't talk about it, obviously. But before we do that, let's talk about my news. We'll go into my news item really quickly, which was on September 7th at 31 minutes after midnight UTC. There was an H-2A rocket that lifted off, and it had a payload called XRISM, XRISM, and they were pronouncing it XRISM. It's a space telescope. It's awesome. It's X-ray. Jared, you could probably talk about that. That actually wasn't the thing that excited me about this particular mission. The thing is, it had a secondary payload. They didn't talk about the secondary payload quite as much, but they gave it a little bit of attention because it was pretty freaking cool. And that secondary payload, that is SLIM, or the Smart Lander for Investigating Moon, which is a backronym. I guarantee you that is a backronym. And SLIM is JAXA's plan. It's actually pretty cool. It's JAXA's plan to go to the moon and develop autonomous landing systems in a lightweight package. I want to say it was like 700 kilograms. Yeah, 700 kilograms was the weight of this entire payload that they sent to the moon. They're doing a energy efficient. Bennett says that's a great backronym. Thanks. They're doing a energy efficient transfer over to the moon. So it's going to take them something like forgive me, I don't have the notes in front of me, but like 4 months, some ridiculous amount of time to get there. Like, remember, to put this into perspective, the Apollo astronauts got there in 3 days, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, the Apollo astronauts got there, stayed there, and came back in less time, way less time, substantially less time than it's going to take for this payload to get to the moon. But once it gets to the moon, it's small, it's light, and it's going to do the thing that's actually pretty hard to do, right? It's going to try to land autonomously on the moon, avoiding obstacles. Let's not forget Apollo 11, famously, Neil Armstrong took control of the lander, and they were running out of fuel because they looked at their landing site and went, nope, that ain't going to work. There are boulders there. This is bad, right? And so then we try to land these other, vehicles on the moon, and we just recently had a failure. Oh God, I've forgotten who the failure was. Jared, help me out.
Luna 25 from Roscosmos.
Roscosmos. Luna 25 just failed to land on the moon. ISRO actually just successfully landed on the moon. And this is really hard to do. So coming up with autonomous landing technology for the moon is actually kind of cool and exciting. The other thing that I think is cool and exciting is that the moon is so hot again. It's all the rage.
It's so hot right now.
So hot right now, right? Roscosmos just tried to go there. India just went there. JAXA is going there. You've got the United States working on the Artemis program, trying to get back there with humans going back there, and the Gateway project, and all of the Artemis program. It's pretty freaking awesome. And it's just kind of an exciting time to be alive and to be a space nerd, because there's oh yeah, there you go. Actually, it's kind of interesting. This is an awkward EV Mux layout with two of. Hang on, can I? I'll turn and I'll talk to Jared. Hey, Jared, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. Hopefully, I'm looking in the right way. It's going good, Jamie. It's really...
look at this image here.
Oh, sorry. The reverberate echoes threw me off in here. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry. You can't see it, but Dud is chortling on screen. So anyhow, this image, it's actually kind of cool because it doesn't land straight down. It actually it comes in. It's got a bunch of radar, sonar, mapping, lidar, R. It has things that ends in R. That's going to map the terrain. It's going to scan a whole bunch of stuff, and it comes down like this. And then when it finds something, it kind of like lands and then topples into that position. It kind of goes thunk. It's actually a really interesting way to land. And so, actually,
it makes that sound, right?
Yes, it does. On the moon, with no atmosphere to transfer the sound. On the moon, it goes thunk. I look forward to your letters. But if you look at that picture, you can actually see the descent engines kind of in the back there, right? Kind of on the left side, I guess the left side of the image. And so, those are kind of pointing straight down. Well, I assume they're pointing away to slow it down. And then the vehicle's like this, and it comes down, and then eventually it goes thunk. It's actually pretty cool. Point is, I'm really excited for this. This did successfully deploy from the spacecraft. So it is right now on its way to Luna. And it's, again, in like 4 months, hopefully we'll do another story in 4 months and be like, it worked, it was amazing. And then, again, really super light payload. We can JAXA can take this technology stack and try to move it towards like other things that they be able to work on, or even just sending other landers to Luna and doing whatever it is they need to do. So that was what was getting me excited, and that was kind of my story for the day. I know that everyone's like hot and heavy over Starship. So, hot moon summer. Yeah. So Ryan, has your tech worked out, or do you still need a minute? Oh, we can't hear you.
I guess that would mean it does need a minute.
Tech is not worked out. All right, Jared, why don't you go? What do you have for us today?
Well, actually, mine is related to your story, because I was going to talk about
the other instrument. The other instrument,
yes,
like X-rays and telescopes.
Yeah, you're just like, astronomy, who cares? But I do. And I wanted to talk a little bit about XRISM today, because it's actually a very, very exciting mission that I don't think a lot of people know as much about as they should. It sounds like we got Ryan, though.
Oh, we have all of your room noise, Ryan. How you doing, Ryan?
Let me hang on.
Maybe pull that down by 6 dB.
There we go. Oh, that's a bit far. There we go. That's a bit better.
Watching us do live tech support on the air.
Yeah. I forgot you had to press the on button, so it works now.
Awesome. All right, continue, Jerry. Continue.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll certainly keep going about this here. But XRISM, which is a next generation X-ray space telescope, has successfully launched, and we're all very, very excited about it. A really good way to look at XRISM is to sort of think of it as the J-dub of X-ray telescopes. Originally, several years ago, there had been a X-ray telescope launch called Hitomi. Unfortunately, something went wrong on Hitomi. Still not entirely sure what exactly went wrong. But it basically spun up so fast that it ended up destroying itself on orbit before it could even be commissioned. So that's like not good. But luckily, XRISM so far is looking excellent. They're going to be beginning the checkouts very, very shortly with it. But what XRISM is going to do is it's going to act as a telescope, a X-ray telescope between the current generation of X-ray telescopes and the future X-ray telescope that's being worked on right now. So the current X-ray telescopes that we have are Chandra from NASA and XMM Newton from ESA, European Space Agency. And the future one is going to be Athena, which is going to be coming from the European Space Agency. But this one's going to slot right between this generation and provide us with higher resolution data and able to look at significantly more portions of the sky with its instruments as well. So we're all really, really excited that instead of having this 13-year, this like decade-long break between Chandra and XMM Newton and Athena. Now we have something to work with this. And if we had not had a X-ray telescope to provide that, which, by the way, this is the actual portion of the telescope that allows the X-rays to come in. So a lot of people don't know that you have to really kind of split up light and work with it there. And X-ray telescopes always end up looking like these really weird sort of, I almost want to say like Victorian mechanical systems.
It does. It's like something like it's a steampunk X-ray or a steampunk telescope.
It literally looks like a baddie from. It looks like something that the baddie from a Jules Verne novel would use in order to try to take over the world. That there. So, or maybe this is a part of the new Dr. Horrible sequel. I don't know. With that there. So, but it will be providing sort of information about sort of the structural formation of the universe, looking at very energetic galaxies, looking at material circulating around them, and then we're going to be able to look at that and compare it to what we're getting from JDub and really help out in enhancing that. And then also, whenever Athena comes online, which should be sometime in the 2030s, if we've still got XRISM around, that we could do the co-observations like we're doing right now with Hubble and JDub, which will then enhance it. And yeah, we're all just like really excited to have this, because when we lost Hitomi, that was a pretty big deal. Hitomi was supposed to really assure us that we were going to have that continuity in our data from a X-ray space telescope. But unfortunately, we lost Hitomi in its accident, and we had to kind of cross our fingers and say, I hope Chandra and Newton last long enough so that we could get a replacement going. It was right after the loss of Hitomi, it was decided that yes, we're just going to go ahead and fly a replacement. But they also changed some things too off of Hitomi. Like they made XRISM able to detect specific wavelengths of X-rays that Hitomi hadn't been designed to do. So basically expanded out what we were going to be able to detect. So very excited about this. Excited that we finally are going to take over the world from orbit. Been really working on world domination for a very long time, and super excited to see the results that'll be coming from that. Probably give it about 6 months to a year before the first ones start rolling along.
What are we going to do today, Brain?
Yes. Yes.
So if this is what we do every day, Slinky, take over the world. So if this is like JDub, does that mean that it was 10 years late and $5 billion over budget? With 1,000 single points of failure?
Well, what's interesting, what we, first of all, no. Because Hitomi, we lost Hitomi, and that was a pretty big blow. But overall, this project was headed up by the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA. So JAXA's pretty good about being on budget and on time with their projects. Maybe they know something about project management that we don't. So maybe we should study their project management so that way we understand it better.
No, just don't let the engineers be the project managers. No. I'm sorry. I said the engineers. That's not true. Don't let the scientists be the project managers. The ones who... Yeah.
If you look at JDub and a lot of the issues that were present, a lot of it was that an overextension of what we wanted. Also, a vast majority of JDub was doing something we've never done before. That also made it a little expensive. And then also JDub's budget missteps and things like that were very much optimistic. People.
I was just making a joke, Jared. I was just making a joke.
What we're going to do, I propose that we make a budget space telescope, and not as in like this is a cheap space telescope, but like one that allows us to hunt for the ability to budget correctly. and maybe we can study that from orbit instead of trying to do it from the ground. So I mean, I don't know much, but I'm throwing this out there as a proposal. If anybody wants to throw it in the next decadal survey, we'll see. We'll see if it tops a Uranus or Neptune mission. Shouldn't be too hard, right?
How hard can it be?
How hard can it be? So, but yeah, it's going to be once XRISM is up and running, it's going to be very, very nice. So.
All right, 15 minutes in, and now we'll talk about the thing that's on the thumbnail. And Ryan was super pissed off at the title that I gave this, which was like the FAA has whatever. So at this point, I do have to back out of the conversation. So I hereby officially hand the show baton to Ryan, where he gets to take and talk about all the cool stuff, and I have to sit here in silence. Sounds like fun for me. Enjoy.
I think super might have been a bit of an over-exaggeration. Minorly was probably a more accurate term. Basically, I brought up on my screen here a tweet from Abhi Tripathi, who used to be a SpaceX mission director for Dragon and the NASA engineer. And it really it's like 2,000 characters long. I think it really summarizes kind of not only my feelings, but a lot of other people's feelings in the community. Because not only have so if you're unaware, Elon basically tweeted that Starship was ready to launch, and then when the FAA announced that they'd approved the mishap investigation, he replied asking what the items of the investigation were, even though, to many people's surprise, the FAA isn't the body that performs the mishap investigation. The body that performs the mishap investigation is SpaceX. They prepare for it before launch, and if something goes wrong, like it did with the first Starship launch, they're the ones who write it up and find the things that need to be fixed. The FAA, think about what the FAA knows about Starship compared to what SpaceX knows about Starship. SpaceX knows this vehicle so much better than the FAA does, so it's only right that the operator of the vehicle is the body that writes up the report. The FAA just looks over it and approves it to then wrap up the mishaps report, and then the FAA needs to be satisfied that SpaceX has done the things SpaceX said they would do. This was not a surprise to SpaceX. Those 63 items SpaceX knew, and I'd be surprised if Elon genuinely didn't know, because it's SpaceX who writes the report, not the FAA. So if Elon genuinely didn't know what those 63 items were, then that's a SpaceX issue. That's not an FAA issue. And all these people going after the FAA saying, oh, you're delaying the Starship launch, they're not. They're doing their job. They're making sure that SpaceX has done their job to ensure that the next flight is as safe or even safer than the first. The point of these mishap investigations is to make sure that nobody, nothing is injured whilst a test flight launches. And, after we saw what the FTS, well, it failed to terminate the flight. It was more of a flight termination in 50 seconds system.
I was about to say,
it was spinning out of control. That's a key point. The FAA needs to make sure that works. But SpaceX are the engineers. They know how to design a better system, so it's SpaceX who writes the report. That's just... This entire tweet just really I think it's a really well written up roundup of why you shouldn't be going after the FAA for the next flight of Starship to be taking so long. I mean, it's been 4 months. I don't think it's been so long. I think a flight this year is going to be, if they can get a flight this year, which it's looking like they probably will, I think that'll be excellent. I don't think that people are so used to a Falcon launching every 3 days that they're like, 4 months, it's taken so long between the flights. You shouldn't be mad at the FAA. The FAA just ticks a stamp, ticks a box, not a stamp. The FAA ticks a box. SpaceX writes the report. So be mad at SpaceX if you think Starship should have launched already.
I was going to say, if you are mad that they're not launching a Starship every 3 days, let me tell you, back in 2010 and 2011, when we were getting our first, there wasn't even a Falcon 9 launch in 2011. The first, they had the December 2010, and then what was the next one? I'm trying to remember. Was it June 2011? No, it wasn't. It was, I know December 2010 was a test launch. And then May 2012 was the first launch of a cargo Dragon, their first real Dragon flight. So if you're not patient at the moment after 4 months, let me tell you, us OGs got nothing on us for that. This was really super annoying that the CEO of a company would come out and do something like that. Just like there's no real reason to end up doing something like this. Like I can't comprehend what was trying to be accomplished at this point with Elon coming out and doing that. The only thing I can think of is there's only 3 things I can think of that with Elon in this case with whatever he was trying to accomplish. One, he is trying to pressure the FAA to hurry up, which that's not happening. In fact, if you want to apply more pressure to them, I hope you're going to be ready and able to wait a little bit longer because they will then say, what's going on? I guess we're going to need to take our time here even more since there might be, like, what are you trying to pull the wool over our eyes about? 2, Elon was being sarcastic, which we don't recommend on the internet, at least in text, being sarcastic. It's always a bad idea with that. Or 3, Elon genuinely didn't know, and he should basically stop working on Twitter and maybe come back to some other projects while you're at it. So I don't know. Thank you, Emmanuel, for becoming a member. But at this point, the jury. The thing about it is that all 3 of those could be possibilities, and just nobody knows at the moment. So, but I really hope that people understand this is not the FAA slowing things down. This is the FAA doing their due diligence, making sure that SpaceX is also doing their due diligence as well. As you said, SpaceX is the one who brings all of this up. They're the ones who give the report. They're the ones who figure out the corrections and make sure that those corrections happen, and then show that the FAA has made those corrections. So, man, it was just genuinely frustrating to see that. Especially because a lot of people in the industry were talking about how specifically the space office of the FAA is actually very responsive. They've been doing double time on all of these things. Man, great. So
something to note.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Something to note, isn't it the NTSB that causes delays after there's an accident and an investigation, not the FAA?
I believe that for this particular mishap report, the FAA brought in NASA and the NTSB as observers of the report, but it was SpaceX who ran the operation under the guidance of the FAA. They just, allowed NASA and the NTSB to check their notes.
Gotcha. Okay, carry on.
Yeah. So, by the way, I lost the comment in our chat room that said somebody was saying that Elon is not the CEO of SpaceX. No, did that change or something? Because as far as I understood it, he was the CEO, the chair of the board, and the CTO, unless those have been handed off, and I just have been literally under a rock.
The last time I looked, I believe that was his positions.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think there's any. The only other person I can imagine being the CEO would be Gwen Shotwell, and she's still president. So.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just not a good look. What if Tony Bruno jumped on his Twitter account and started haranguing the FAA about it? I'm pretty confident a whole lot of people would be all over that one. So yeah, and Dave Avery is saying that the NTSB has no requirement to investigate space accidents, but they're still there. I believe that they helped with the Virgin Galactic flight 2014 when they had their accident. Mm-hmm. I believe they were helping out with the investigation on that.
That might be slightly different because there's people involved or people on board.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But still, all of these different organisations work together for these reports. It's not just SpaceX, it's not just the FAA, it's not just NASA, it's not just the NTSB. They all check each other's notes.
Yes, and it is significantly more connected and significantly more dialogue, I think, than most people realize. Uh, yeah, and actually, Neuropilot bringing it up, which is that in cases like this, SpaceX offers up a report for the FAA and or NTSB to accept. In addition to that, Neil is actually asking, I think, a really good question, which is, thank you, Bennett. I almost wore my Stark Industries shirt today. Neil is asking, are SpaceX allowed to publish the report? And
So,
yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
there's some. I'm trying to think how to word this. So, basically, what the FAA have said is that the report contains proprietary information. We will not share it. Which is why, if you're going after the FAA asking for the report, you will not see it because it holds SpaceX's proprietary information. It is not the Federal Aviation Administration's place to share that information. However, a certain CEO and chief engineer, who also likes to post things on Twitter quite often, decided, I guess, to list a watered-down version of the 63-item list on Twitter. So these are all of the different things. You can go to his page and read them out for yourself, because I won't, because there's 63 of them. But interesting to note that only 6 of the 63 items refer to later flights. So only 57 of the items actually directly impact the second flight of Starship. So, I think even though he's being a little bit of an internet troll, trying to, not go after the FAA, but, try and shift blame on different things, I will give props to Elon and SpaceX for actually sharing this list, because they didn't have to. They could have kept this close to their chest and not told anyone anything, but they did a little write-up on their website, and they've shared this watered-down list that doesn't really, it doesn't at all contain any proprietary information. So, I will give props to them for that. This is very cool to read through and see what they're, everything that they're actually working towards for the next flight.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually have not read that yet. And it
Me
looks
neither.
like
I haven't finished it.
I was going to say, it looks like it was actually published relative to the actual current time. It looks like it was literally published just about an hour from this exact time live on the show. Yeah. So Michael Dakin is asking the big questions today. Great one there from Michael, which is technically, do you think they are ready to light the matches? So are we ready to see? Is it finally time for Booster 25 to fly?
If they're still using matches, there's no way they're ready.
Thank you, Donna. But why not, Ryan?
The Booster 9 and Ship 25 will not be going anywhere anytime soon if they want to keep the launch pad intact, because the last I was made aware of it, the water deluge system was inoperable. They took some pipes out. It doesn't work. So if they want a reusable launch pad with their new redesign, that's kind of important. They need that. So, once they get enough prop in the propellant farm and they get the water deluge system working again, they're probably ready to go for some testing. Then take the ship off, arm the FTS, put it back on top. You're ready for launch. Once we see all of that, they'll be ready to go. Gotcha.
So just keep an eye on that, and we'll end up seeing when Starship actually ends up launching. So. But would you say don't hold your breath at the moment over it? Yeah, because Golden FFC is asking, should be ready to go in a week. Does that sound like an actual realistic timeline?
Potentially, I think the end of September is a realistic but optimistic target. However, maybe October, that would be useful. Just saying.
I wonder who on the show might have predicted October. Don't know. Somebody might have done that. So, but yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to see. Are they going to have to do a wet dress for the vehicle, or do you think they're satisfied with everything that they've got?
We don't. The truth is, we don't know. However, in my opinion, if I was in charge, I think it might be wise. Or they could go for a route of let's gun it for a launch attempt, and just like with IFT-1's first launch attempt, if it isn't going well, we can just turn it into a wet dress rehearsal like that, not ignite the engines, not go anywhere. However, on the more optimistic side, if everything does look great on that first launch attempt, they can launch it straight away. They don't have to wait. They don't have to detank, wait a few days for everything to settle down, and then go into another launch sequence. They could just do it straight away. So I can see the argument for wanting to be cautious, but I can also see an argument for wanting to get the data as quick as possible and then launch as quick as possible, because as soon as they get the data from Booster 9 and Ship 25, they can apply it straight to the next booster and Ship to fly and gather even more data with that flight. And if they just keep doing that process, they can gather so much data for the rapid turnaround times that Starship needs in order to become financially viable.
And Dave Avery also saying, probably one deluge test, then good to go. Do they still need to do a deluge test?
They've done one partial test of just the system, 2 full tests of just the system, and they've done 1.5 static fires with a booster. So I think they've got 5 total runnings of that system of data, so I don't really think they need to test that again. They've proved that it can spray water out in the direction that it is intended to go, and the booster still works.
Yeah, and then also I think, they've got all this new piping and a new tank, so, I think you kind of need to test that again to make sure that it's still going to work. So, yeah, we'll have to see. There you go, Dave Avery, which is saying, test the deluge because you've added on a new tank and new pipes to it. And then Bennett bringing up something that I was unaware of, which you may have a little bit more to speak of, Ryan, which is that there's construction materials that washed into places that they don't belong.
Say that again?
Construction materials washed into places they don't belong. Unless, Bennett, you're making a joke. I don't know. I don't know exactly what that's referring to.
Yeah, me neither.
If not, we got you stumped us on that there.
Yeah.
With that. So, So overall, they are working towards it, and it has always been a work in progress, no matter what the CEO of the company has attempted to say online, I guess is a nice way to say it. Maybe a phone needs to be taken away, so that way you can be concentrating on things as opposed to sitting there doing this and thinking whatever you say is how it actually goes. So, but I don't know. It ain't my money and I ain't running it. Okay, so Dave is saying, I think Bennett Elder's referring to the weld debris from the new pipe connection needs to be cleaned out. And then Bennett is saying, I'm replying to an earlier question, what pollution, why would the EPA be involved? Have we gotten anything more about that lawsuit that's going on against the FAA that SpaceX decided to join as a defendant with them? Or is that kind of...
I haven't seen anything. I have to be honest, I haven't been paying attention because the initial filing or whatever just sounded a bit like nonsense to me. So I just, haven't really paid attention to it since then. I don't really think it's going to get in the way because many of the claims are just, just nonsense.
Yeah, it's not a very solid one, so I don't know what much is going to come of it. And in fact, there's having read it and caring very much about the environment, there are a multitude of things in there that actually aren't true. So we'll have to see what happens with that. So Arca Space, not to be confused with Arca Space, has their comment here, which says that the FAA license within 10 days from now. I very speculatively predict. All right, Arca, we're holding you to that. So we're going to get that.
Well, even on that, technically they're not going to get a new license because the old license, which was valid for, or rather should I say the current license that was only valid for one flight, if that's amended to remove that statement that says this is only valid for one flight unless amended, they can use that same license again. So they're not actually going to be filed a brand new launch license. The old one is just going to be amended so it can be used for more than one flight.
Yes, and I think that's what a lot of people are missing here too, which is that the FAA is not necessarily going to restrict and say you must come to us every single time you want to launch. That's not how it works. It's a block, if you will, and if something happens and they need to change things, then they're going to, I don't want to necessarily say revoke it, but they're going to come back and say, just like after IFT1, you need to do these things and change it before we allow you to go again. And then, come back, we'll give you a new block of when you're approved to do all of this. You can figure that out. So, yeah. So, also, where was it? James Atkins is asking, will SpaceX Oh boy, this was a pretty hot topic that happened within the past week, which is, will SpaceX only be streaming the test on X? Do you think that they will up the quality possibly on X? Oh boy. Do we even want to touch this?
I mean, I may have an ulterior motive, but I actually find this move for SpaceX not streaming on YouTube anymore, I find it quite a positive move. Trying to say it seriously, because a certain YouTube channel is now getting, roughly 1.5x the Starlink viewership that we used to get. Anyways, it would be nice if the Twitter engineering team could get the broadcast software or code just to run a little bit better. The UI also could need some updates, but if the current trend continues, Starship's official broadcast will definitely only or not be available on YouTube, but I'm sure that certain others certainly will be in 1080p and a reliable bitrate.
Yeah, not 360.
So, I can't comment too much on SpaceX stuff. I'm not an official representative. Blah 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 blah. So instead, what I will do is repost a comment that the CEO of SpaceX posted. Tesla's owner, Silicon Valley Group, says, "Do you think SpaceX should be live streamed on YouTube?" And Elon Musk simply answered, in one word, no. So take that for what you will, but there you are.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily pleased about it because as someone who's not using Twitter actively anymore, can't watch it on YouTube from the official stream. So I'm now on board with NASA Spaceflight. That's where I watch SpaceX launches from. So not a fun move, but hey, that's how it works. And I do know that NASA will continue to stream SpaceX launches on YouTube in 4K as they have been of late. So if you do really want to get a 4K YouTube live stream of a SpaceX launch, you can't go to SpaceX anymore. But hey, NASA's got you covered on that. So, but it's NASA missions only for that. So, and
well, at least the next Falcon Heavy.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. I just wanted to share the official response from the CEO.
Understandable.
I would say, there you go.
Yeah, and there's lots of really great choices out there, too. You've got NASA Spaceflight. You've got Tim Dodd, Everyday Astronaut. You've got the Launch Pad. Those are like my top three as to who I would be watching if you want to have a new home on YouTube for your watching. If you're someone like me who just doesn't really actively use Twitter anymore, that's the way it's going to go.
Jared, we should talk about that in the member show because I think I fundamentally disagree with you on that one. But we'll talk about that later. You're allowed to have your own. You're allowed to have your own whatever. But
I don't have a problem with the decision that's been made. It's just that in terms of my access, my personal access, and the access of folks I know who are no longer on Twitter, we're just not going to be watching the stuff officially from SpaceX. We'll just be getting it through third parties, which the third parties will often get it from SpaceX to begin with. So, we're still watching the same stream in a roundabout way. So,
no, I think what I want to discuss is just your total lack of using X just in general, because I'm not sure I agree with that particular move. But yeah, I mean, we can duke it out. That's a member show sort of thing.
No, I was saying, so that I don't sound like too much of a hypocrite, even though I am. Not total lack, because I'm still posting links to things that I'm in, or being like, hey, I'm going to be here, if you're going to happen to be there. But just overall,
there's just this weird, weird social thing going on. And then when you start reading behind the scenes of what was actually happening with a lot of this stuff, it's nothing like what the judge and jury of the social people say. It's actually way better, and you're like, oh, actually that makes a ton of sense. But in the moment of the judgment of society, things get twisted around, and it's like, well, just calm down, think about it, don't freak out, and it's anyhow, that's a post show, that's a member show thing.
Yes.
That's a show thing.
Yeah, I feel like that'll be good for the member show. So
did you guys have more? So you certainly covered how the FAA specifically issued the 60. Well, I'm just kidding. So we covered the FAA stuff, which was in the thumbnail, which was a big deal. And I'm sorry that it took 15 minutes to get there, but hey, we got there.
Retention.
I know that Starship was also recently stacked. Do we want to talk about that at all, or are we kind of done with Starship for the show?
It's on the pad. It's not much else to say.
Okay.
Awesome. It's always great to see a big rocket on the pad. I mean, how can you not love seeing a big machine getting itself ready to go? I'm super excited about it. We're gonna get another flight out of it, and it's excitement guaranteed. But overall, I'm really wanting it to go, but also I understand that this is a process. You don't rush these kinds of things. You get it right the first time, not the fourth or fifth time, in terms of your regulatory, work. And take your time, do what you need to do. Don't rush it. Just get it right. So that's what.
Yeah, hang on, Jared. That is an old school aerospace way of thinking things, right? This is an experimental rocket. Experiment, don't hurt people, don't hurt property, but iterate fast, launch fast. Let's do hardware-rich testing and figure it out. Right?
Well, I'm talking about working with the FAA.
Oh,
so. Yeah, blow it up for all I care, but just make sure that you're doing it safely and you're not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah, sorry.
You blow it up, but just wash your hands afterwards. At least use some good Gojo on it when you're getting it in on there. So,
Mr. Huggy just said Jared wants the Blue Origin way. No, that's not what you're saying. That's not what you're doing.
No.
By the way, the Blue Origin way. Let's be clear. The way Blue Origin would do it is they would launch it in secret, capture it, and then a couple weeks later let you know that they launched something. That's the Blue Origin way.
Actually, I was gonna say, if you wanna take me real quick, I will talk about Blue Origin the way Blue Origin talks about themselves. Are you ready?
Go for it. Thanks. Hang on, and wait, hang on.
Last Thursday, I did something cool. Anyways.
No, go back to where you were. Go become Blue Origin again, and now I'm tomorrow, and what I do is I go, hey, Blue Origin, could we do an interview with you and get people excited about what you're doing? Hey, Blue. Hey, Blue, would you like to do anything at all? I want to promote what you're doing. I think what you're doing is really cool. Do you want to talk about your vision for the future? Yeah, Blue, hey, there you are. Do you want to talk about... Oh. Yeah, that's my interaction with Blue Origin. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for letting me play. Unless anyone else. Oh, wait. We should go around the room again. Did someone remember to write down our predictions for the Starship flight this last time? Like, someone wrote this down, right? No.
I was
I can't
October.
remember what I said.
Oh God. All right.
I was October.
You were October. All right. Let's get a new fresh list. I'm going to write it down. Hang on. Let me get my notes app open here.
What are we getting $1 for this?
Starship predictions. All right, Jared. Do you still say October?
Yeah. I want big candle.
Give me an exact date.
What the hell? Let's make it my birthday, October 7th.
October 7th, and happy upcoming birthday.
Thanks.
And
Give me a candle again.
all right, Ryan.
For-
Give me a candle. I'll get you the most epic candle ever. How's that?
I gotta say, I already got an epic candle because on my 30th birthday, that was the first West Coast return to launch site, and I was there for it. So thank you for the candle. I appreciate it.
All right, Josh Simpson says late November. I'm trying to grab these in the chat room as I can. Stephen Lewis says next week. Stephen, I like you. Let's see here. Ryan, what do you think it is? Oh, Bennett Elder. Hang on.
Oh, Halloween.
He said no earlier than. No. That's cheating. No. You don't get to do a no earlier than. When is it launching, Bennett? So I'm putting you down for October 31st. Airvale, October 12th. October.
Dutch Universe. 2 weeks.
I'm putting you down. And Ryan, what's your prediction?
6 months.
The week of October 9th.
Ooh, week of October 9th.
For no particular reason whatsoever.
So you're choosing October 9th. Ellen, what was that? Let's see here. John. I feel like this is terrible television right now. Okay. All right. So everyone, YouTube should archive this chat. I will go back and reread the chat and pull the transcript and get your predictions in there. Now, if you didn't have a chance to watch live, add your prediction into the comments below in the on-demand archive, and I will go back and review that, and I'm going to create a Starship. I've got my Starship predictions list going. I will do something better than a Apple Notes spreadsheet. I'll put it in a shared document somewhere. I'll create a shared Excel spreadsheet. We can all add to it, and then we can actually see it change over time, right? I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And then it's Price is Right rules, right? So the closest without going over, right? So if they launch on, say, October 3rd, but you chose October 4th, you're over. And if someone chose September 29th, they would technically win, right? Or do I have that backwards? No,
that backwards.
Without going over.
Yeah, you can't go over, but you can be under.
You're right. So if they went on the 3rd and you chose the 4th, you
oh my gosh.
All right, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Well, I'm like in my mind, I'm hearing $1, Bob, and that's the person that wins because everybody was over the actual retail price.
Exactly. So. That's exactly it, right? So like someone could claim September 10th, and if everyone else goes over, they would technically win, right?
Although remember, if we're doing Price is Right rules, we cannot add sales tax to the days. It's actual retail price for the days, not sales tax.
This is not eligible for anyone who works at Company X, myself included. So, you know, no, legitimately, you can't be you shouldn't be doing that, right? Because you don't want to it puts people in an awkward position. So, not eligible. I won't give whatever. Ryan, you have your prediction. Dada, what's your prediction? You didn't think you're good.
So I think to point out your. I think to point out your clarification of notes, if somebody says September 29th and somebody says October 4th and it goes on October 3rd, the October 4th person wins, yes?
No, the October 4th person loses. They went over.
No, they didn't go over. It launched on October 3rd.
I feel like we're talking about time here, not money. So That kind of
you gotta go
changes
the
it
other.
a little bit.
Yeah, so we're gonna figure that part out. We're gonna figure that part out later. For now, just today.
Arvale has a really good point here, which is that you don't want to incentivize SpaceX employees to delay the flight so they win the bet.
That is exactly what I was trying to get at without actually saying it, right? Which is why I'm not making, why I will not give a prediction, nor will we accept any predictions from any SpaceX Company X employees.
October 9th.
October 9th for Dutta. Cool. Wait, Ryan and Dutta both chose October 9th. Got it. What is the what's the tiebreaker? I don't remember. Do you have to do another? You have to do another bid, right?
Rock, paper, scissors.
No. You had to if two people. No, you can't choose the same number. Well, we'll figure it out. On that note, thank you so much for watching. It's been a chaos of the show, and I think you guys probably enjoyed it most when I wasn't here. Let's be honest. That was the best part of the show.
No fault of you.
Thank you, John, for the.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of the members who have helped to make this particular episode happen. I posted in the room the membership link, and I mentioned earlier that I want to fight with Jared to the death, Highlander style, over his use. Well, there can be only one over his lack of posting on X. I think it. I don't think it's. I don't think I agree, and maybe he's got a really great reason. I think, welcome to how humanity works. So I'm curious to see how that conversation goes. I can't go, yeah. So that's part of the plan, and if you are a member at any tier, you will have access to that member show. It is in the description below if you didn't get the notification. I remembered to do that this week, and I'm sorry last week for not doing it. You don't say tweet anymore. What do you say, post? Zeeted?
I say tweet. I don't care.
I say tweet.
I don't care.
But I have to toe the line.
People can complain as much as they like.
Right? Like, all right. I also posted. Someone give me something better than post. Not tweet, not post. Comments below if you've got one. The actual Zeet?
Kissed. James.
That's a good one. The link to the member show. Post is Elon's term. Oh, dang it. I posted it, I guess. X is a kiss. Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. I kissed it out then? No. Exhibit. Okay. We're off the rails. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Oh, and fun factoids before we go. Two things. One, this was my first live show from Starbase. I'm in my place in Starbase, so welcome to Starbase. Two, my entire stream was purely Starlink. Everything I did here was off of Starlink itself. So I hope it looked good the whole time. It's actually pretty fantastic. It's my first full use, my own Starlink modem and everything that I use full time for all my internet, and it's pretty fantastic. I actually am really enjoying it. So there you are. I'll close the show off on that, and I'll see everyone next week. Member show is up next.